Welcome back to Okano's Kitchen at Wingate Farm in Vermont. I just came from Walker Farm. I've been thinking about what I'm going to make today. I found this corn at the farmer's market. It's like the last corn of the season, so I think I need to make some corn chowder. Maybe some cauliflower fritters, and I do have a couple of loaves of samurai bread from last night, so I think I'm going to make a bread and butter pudding with bittersweet chocolate. I'll teach you all how to make it. It's so beautiful out here. Fall is coming. I'm excited. Let's get started. We're going to start with dessert because we've got to put that in the oven, so we might as well get started with that. And this is a great way to use your day-old samurai bread. A samurai bread and butter pudding. Doesn't that sound yummy with bittersweet chocolate? So what I've done is I've buttered and sugared my big ramekin, and I've buttered both sides of the samurai bread. And so I'm going to layer that in to my ramekin. You could use dairy-free butter if that's your fancy. Whoops. Butter fell off. And we're going to just make kind of a little layering action. So I'm going to sprinkle some of this bittersweet chocolate for the next layer. I find that lots of chocolate works well because this is dessert after all. And then we'll do another layer of the buttered samurai bread on top again. This would be a great thing to do with your kids. Little layering process. A little bit more chocolate. Bittersweet. I love the dark chocolate. You gotta go with dark chocolate. And then what I have in here are some egg yolks, some dairy-free milk, vanilla, and some pumpkin pie spice because I love the cinnamon and nutmeg flavor. So I'm gonna pour that in on top. Get all the juicy tidbits. And then I'm gonna just set that in the oven for 40 minutes. And that will be a yummy bread pudding dessert. Now we're going to make some corn chowder, which I love to make at the end of the summer season when you have still corn on the cob. I think I got the last 12 years of corn from the farm down the road. And this is a great vegetarian meal because the stock is actually made just from the corn cobs. So I've sliced off this fresh corn from the cobs and they've been soaking in this water, and that'll be the broth for my soup. I've got some peppers and celery and onions sauteing here on the stove. And that's going to be the base of my soup. Those seem to be about ready. So I'm going to add that to my pot. Then I'm going to add some chopped up jalapeno and garlic, maybe smashed garlic, right in there with the veggies. Okay, I added some jalapeno and the garlic. Now I'm going to add my chopped up potatoes. These are golden potatoes. You can leave the skins on in this recipe. And then the fresh corn, we're going to dump that in. So we've got the veggies, we've got peppers, onions, and celery, we've got potatoes, got the corn, and I'm going to sprinkle a little salt in there. And then we're going to start putting in this corn cob broth, which after soaking the cobs for a while, it has this just sweet taste that really adds to the flavor of the soup. And we're going to let that cook down for a while, and then we're going to put a couple cups of it in the immersion blender to kind of thicken up the soup. And then if we want it even thicker, we'll add a little bit of half and half at the end. So I'm just going to wait and let that cook for a little bit. I love fritters. I don't know about you, but I'm always looking for a new way to make fritters. And this recipe uses cauliflower, which I feel like is a kind of a forgotten vegetable. So cauliflower, you basically get 1 head of cauliflower and you blanch it until it kind of softens up. And then you mix that with eggs and some really yummy spices, turmeric and cumin, and we're going to put a shallot in there and some eggs and a tiny bit of gluten-free flour, and that makes up this basically cauliflower batter that we're going to fry up in the pan and make these fritters. So this is a little bit of olive oil in the pan, and I'm going to make these, about a spoonful of this cauliflower mix. And let that fry up, and we'll turn it when it kind of browns on one side. The potatoes are ready. One trick to making a soup a little bit thicker and creamier is to take, in this recipe, to take a couple of spoonfuls and put them in the immersion blender. And we're not the whole thing, we're just going to blend up like 2 cups of soup and then put that back into the pot. And it's going to thicken up nicely. Here we go. It's going to be noisy. Okay, so that blended up, especially the potatoes, which will make a nice creamy, see how you have that like creamy consistency. That's going to go back into the soup. Oh yeah, and then you can see that just that couple cups gave it some thickness and texture. And I'm going to taste that. Got my seasoning right. The sweet corn really gives it a yummy taste, and I put that corn in raw, so it's cooking right in the broth, delicious. And now I'm going to add, this is optional, but I'm just going to add a little bit of this almond milk creamer, maybe just 1/4 cup, and a couple dashes of hot sauce, because why not? And then you've got this delicious corn chowder that we're going to be ready to serve up with our cauliflower fritters, and our bread pudding is almost done. Oh, well, I've got to get my dessert out of the oven. I can smell the samurai bread and butter pudding, so let's start with taking that out. Oh yeah. The chocolate has melted. The egg, the samurai bread has soaked up all the egg, that delicious egg and vanilla and spices. Take the corn chowder off the stove. This is a great, we actually use this on the mountain. This soup freezes really well. It's great for vegetarians, for vegans, for anybody who just wants a hearty corn chowder with local corn chowder, local veg. I'm going to scoop that into this bowl. You can add more hot sauce if you like it a little spicier. And we're going to mop that up, of course, with a piece of samurai bread. And we're going to serve that with our cauliflower fritters on a bit of mixed greens and a little lime yogurt on the side if you want something to dip it with. And then we're going to take a spoonful of this samurai bread pudding that just came out of the oven. Look at that, with the day-old bread and bittersweet chocolate. Come on. Yummy. Bread pudding, samurai bread pudding. Now, I talk a lot about samurai bread, so don't forget to go to my website, okanoskitchen.com, and order your kit. And this is the cookbook that we did after our first season on the Eat This TV, and in the back there's a special page on samurai bread tips and tricks, so you got to check it out. Thank you for joining me. See you next time.
Welcome to the Mountain Guides. They operate 5 mountain guiding companies in the American West: the Mountain Guides of Utah, the Mountain Guides of Red Rock, the Mountain Guides of Montana, the Mountain Guides of Colorado. Their flagship operation in Jackson Hole is based in Jackson and leading trips all over the high peaks of the Rocky Mountains. Join their custom mountain adventures led by experienced guides in the iconic destinations. For more information, log on to themountainguides.com.